Today, I'm bringing on two colleagues from a manufacturing company. One focuses on content marketing and the other on digital marketing. And together, they're bringing in innovative tactics from the B2C world into B2B manufacturing marketing. We'll talk about things like influencer marketing, videos, digital apps, attribution, sales enablement, and more. Let's do this.
Welcome to Content Marketing Engineered, your source for building trust and generating demand with technical content. Here is your host, Wendy Covey.
Hi, and welcome to Content Marketing Engineered. On each episode, I'll break down an industry trend, challenge, or best practice in reaching technical audiences. You'll meet colleagues, friends, and clients of mine who will stop by to share their stories. And I hope that you leave each episode feeling inspired and ready to take action. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a brief shout out to my agency, True Marketing. True is a full service agency located in beautiful Austin, Texas, serving highly technical companies. For more information, visit truemarketing.com. And now on with our podcast. Welcome to another episode of Content Marketing Engineered. I'm joined today by two senior marketers from Heatcraft, and I'll let them introduce themselves. It's Pete Grasso and Tim Fletcher. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Wendy. So my name's Pete Grasso. I'm the content marketing leader here at Heatcraft Refrigeration Products, and I came here going on 3 years ago. Before that, I was an editor at a B2B trade magazine and spent a lot of my career either on the editorial side or the PR side of the B2B world. So happy to be applying all that I've learned to Heatcraft Refrigeration and helping them elevate what they do.
Tim Fletcher, Pete's counterpart here, the digital marketing leader. I've been here about 5 years, relatively new to the industry, came from a B2C background in the agency space. So I think that's, the reason why a lot of what we've done here is applying some of those B2C strategies to the B2B space, and looking forward to doing much more of that.
Great. And just for context, tell me a little bit about Heatcraft Worldwide Refrigeration. Is that the formal name?
Heatcraft Refrigeration Products.
Yeah. Oh, refrigeration. I'm so sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
give me the lowdown on Heatcraft.
International businesses, yeah.
Gotcha.
So we're a refrigeration manufacturer. We're part of the Lennox brand of companies. So there's Lennox Residential, Lennox Commercial, and then we're the refrigeration business unit. We're located just outside Atlanta in Stone Mountain, and we're actually right now in our training center here in Stone Mountain, where we bring technicians in and teach them all kinds of things about refrigeration. So we manufacture everything from, small reach-in coolers all the way up to large, cold storage warehouses, walk-in freezers for restaurants, that kind of thing. Not the boxes, just the stuff inside the box that keeps it cold.
A lot of pharmaceutical applications, data warehousing, just really anything that has to be kept cold, plasma, blood, anything that has to be kept cold, we have a hand in it typically.
And when you say not the boxes, so you mean the components that go into refrigeration, and then
so you think of take a walk-in cooler that you might see at a restaurant
or a gas station,
or a gas station like a beer cave. So that actual container that you walk in, we don't manufacture that, but we manufacture that thing that you'll see inside of it that blows the cold air.
Okay. So I was telling you guys the other day that I have one of these commercial fridges in my outdoor kitchen because, we do everything bigger in Texas. So it's like a true brand, TRUE. So that would be an example of a company that would take your components and then build the container.
Quite possibly.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially.
Okay. Just as, not them specifically, but just understanding the landscape. Well, got it. Well, I first met you guys at Content Marketing World back in 2023. You gave an excellent presentation on how you were taking B2C tactics into the B2B manufacturing world. And so I wanted to talk about that. And I know that your business unit has a reputation for being a marketing pioneer. And I have a feeling a lot of that has to do with the two of you. So I think that's really cool. I thought today what we would do is just talk about some of the initiatives that you found most successful, where you're pushing the envelope or trying new things, and then maybe end with taking a peek of what you're working on now in 2024.
Good.
Yeah, cool. Well, one of the things I wanted to start with is your influencer program, because you don't frankly hear a lot of B2B companies talk about working with influencers. So what was the catalyst for starting it, for having this idea?
I mean, I'll let Tim speak to the catalyst, but I'd say that I think that probably as with anything we do, we just look to, we're consumers and we see things that are trends that are happening, and then we think, well, why can't we do that as a B2B company?
Yeah.
And there's really no reason why you can't apply B2C, and influencer was just one of those things.
Yeah, and I think for me, when we first started thinking about it, it was, these contractors that potentially buy or service our equipment. How can we reach them in a more authentic way? Because they're not for the corporate marketing speak. It's just not going to work with them, right? They're not the commercial type folks. So it was one of these deals where we realized that there is very niche audiences in YouTube and just niche and video marketing platforms where large groups of these contractors gather to get information, to share tips. And we were able to pinpoint one who was particularly authentic and had a really great following, and just the interaction we saw between him and his audience as we did our research sort of behind the scenes, we realized, hey, these guys trust him. So if they trust him, let's bring him into our circle. Therefore, they trust us via him,
Yeah, so we started, we got in contact with him, and his name is Chris Stevens. He actually runs his own refrigeration contracting company out in Southern California. And he had started his YouTube channel he would film his service calls on his equipment as a way to train his own technicians on the proper way to do things. And he made it live, and it just kind of exploded. So, as Tim said, we noticed that he was working on a lot of our equipment anyway. And, as we got to talking to him, learned that he's not only works on our equipment, but is a big fan of our company. He likes using our products. He likes our controls. So, we started sponsoring some of his videos that he would, work on our equipment, and, he'd pass it by us. We'd give him some tips, because typically at the end of the service call video, he sits and he kind of gives lessons learned type of thing. So, we gave him access to our product managers, our engineering team, and, engaged with his audience as well on his social platforms. Last year, we even brought him down and had him here in the training lab. We had him, tour the R&D factory, speak to some of our thought leaders, recorded some videos. It's grown from there. And then that was 2 years ago. Last year in the fall, we brought him back again and brought him down to our main manufacturing facility in Southern Georgia, where, he had never really toured a big factory like that before. And I mean, he was blown away by the precision and the quality and everything that goes into building that equipment he works on.
And speaking of that, the quality, that was another thing I was thinking of. So there's a lot of benefits outside of just the authentic messaging to our audience, right? We're able to also use him as a feedback channel. So things come directly to him, or people, whether it's a positive or a negative, right? And we're able to sort of directly tap into that audience and say, okay, hey, there's an issue we're hearing that may be a quality trend that we need to address. And then we can take that information to our engineering team, to the quality team. And then besides that, just as just the social listening aspect, just to hear what they're saying from people that we know are our audience. We're not having to guess, right? But there's also, it really does create a nice feedback loop for us as well.
Yeah. And I mean, there's been so many great benefits to it. In the past year and a half, we've probably had around 33 new pieces of content, influencer content. I think we've got maybe 750,000 views on those videos that Chris has done with us. And, a lot of the times when he interviews our experts, our thought leaders, I think with the positive
it's like 95% positive sentiment. It's been really, and it doesn't get the views that say one of his in the field with our equipment would, but the messaging that gets through to the folks, it's again just getting that right message to the right audience. And it's been, I think, overall just and as you mentioned earlier, when we came into this, it was like, oh, even we thought like B2B influencer, manufacturing influencer, right? But it's and that's why I would challenge people to kind of think outside the box a little bit and look for those opportunities, because you'd be surprised, just like I was for sure.
Yeah, we had the largest show in the industry was just this past January in Chicago, and we were showcasing our controller at the booth. And Chris, who has worked on the controller, really likes it, shot lots of videos about it, scheduled a time, told his audience he was coming to the Heatcraft booth, And literally he had like a crowd of contractors following him to the booth, and he was working the booth, showing them how to work the controller, taking questions. And it was amazing. And that was just something that organically happened because he's a fan of ours and he's just an authentic person, and it's a good partnership.
Yeah. So it started with this, like you said, it was very authentic. He was already a fan of your products. He was already creating some of this content, and you gave him all these benefits initially by being able to have access to, a higher level of service and product managers and things like that. So I love that it came from a place of a very low risk, high level of understanding, connecting with the right people. So a lot of good ingredients into this formula, it sounds like.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does he have time to run his day job? is he pivoting now, or is he still managing this is helping his business enough to where?
When we have to meet with him, he has a schedule calls with him at 7 a.m.
Wow.
And if you think about it, that's 4 a.m. his time in California.
So that's how. But he's ruthless when it comes to prioritization, and he's a great entrepreneur, and he mentions to us all the time. He's like, I never planned for this. Like I was literally making videos for my techs in the field. Next thing you know, I've got almost 200,000 subscribers, and people coming to me as an actual influencer. So to him, it's still kind of mind blowing, I think, a bit. But it is now sort of taking shape as its own sort of sub business for him as well.
Yeah, he's branched out. He does a weekly podcast as well, just in addition to the other content he produces.
Yeah, good for him. Well,
so
it shows
Stevens,
too that
HVAC, our videos for the plug.
Yeah. And you guys, I know we're early on understanding the power of video, and we have a research report that we conduct with Global Spec at True Marketing called The State of Marketing to Engineers. And 97% of technical buyers watch videos weekly for work. And so right there, you see that he's creating these videos. So we chose the right platform for the right information, and clearly it resonated. So yeah, cool. Well, what else are you guys up to? I remember something about a mobile app.
Yeah, so we, speaking of content marketing world, one of the submissions that we're doing, or hoping to do anyways, talking about how you can utilize things as a content delivery system, such as a mobile app, where, you may not necessarily think always as a content marketing delivery system, but when you think about it, we were able to create this app, one of the first in the industry, and it's mostly tools for contractors, right? So people are, they're in the field, they're using it to test pressure, temperature, that kind of thing. But then we thought, we started with, well, why don't we link to our video library from there? And why don't we link to our blog from there, for example, our regulatory expertise page? And then it kind of said, well, this thing's growing. And, we're getting upwards towards 60,000 users, which for us, as you can imagine, refrigeration mobile app, again, you don't think much of that, but there's building up a very loyal following. For us, we know that it's the following that we want, again, because they're in the field, or else they wouldn't have this app on their phone. And it just gave us a really unique opportunity to use it for marketing and remarketing purposes, and just another avenue for us to get that message to the right person.
Joe Plitzy always says, don't build your content house on rented land. His point is, stop using other people's platforms to communicate with your audience, and
create one.
We've kind of done that by creating our own channel through the app. We're constantly thinking of different, we solicit feedback from contractors on other tools they'd like to see in the app. Thinking about, they're on a rooftop repairing a unit and they've got their phone on them. What information can we directly give to them so they don't have to go back to the truck or log onto the computer or this or that? So, we're always expanding it and making it more of a useful, well-rounded tool.
Yeah, one of our guiding behaviors is creating that better customer experience, focusing on the customer. And this is just one of the ways that this is one of the tools that we're using to execute that.
Yeah. So what was the old way? He's on that roof, you have a technician, they're troubleshooting. Would it be, you said, to get off the roof, go to the truck, fire at the computer, hope to have a hotspot, wireless connection? Yeah. Is that, or heaven forbid, printed manuals?
I would say, or flip through a printed, technical bulletin, or get on the phone to our customer support team. Whereas, now it's kind of making it a little bit more self-service, so that when they do end up having to call, we're already kind of 10 steps ahead.
Correct. Yeah.
Got you.
And we're working on some other, we have some things in the works for the app as well to even take that experience to another level from a troubleshooting aspect specifically.
Okay.
So some exciting stuff coming there.
So is this app just targeted to technicians, or does it have other features for, I don't know, distributors or other parts of the channel?
Yes, absolutely. So we have some tools in there for the counter person. So the counter person working at the distributor or working at the wholesaler, the shop. And we have some tools in there for them as well, whether it's cross-reference tools or parts lookup tools, these kind of things as well. So say, hey, I'm there, I'm walking the floor with a customer, they're asking me questions. Well, boom, I can open the app and so, well, here's the equivalent model, or here's the parts for this model. Or, yeah, so absolutely. But I would say contractors first, wholesalers and distributors too. And then, we have a bit of end users in there as well, but primarily contractors and wholesalers.
Yeah. Okay. So what was the catalyst for starting the app? Like who had the idea within the organization? This sounds like very much a cross-functional effort.
It was. So it was one of my first projects when I came on 2019. And the ideas had kind of been floated around and they're like, oh, contractor-based app, cross-reference tool. The whole thing was, so a lot of what we do in our industry is driven by the government, by regulations, EPA, Department of Energy. So at the time, there was a new change coming called DOE 2020. And it basically was another refrigerant change where everything had to meet these certain capacities and these certain levels to meet standard. And it was a huge headache trying to educate the consumer and the contractor. And we said, well, this is another way for us to make it easy for them. Let's put something in their hand and say, hey, it's not that complicated. Like just put in the old model number here, and here's the new model number, and with the slight differences that it needs to meet those regulations, right? So that's kind of where it came from. And then it just more from there. Well, why don't we put a pressure temperature chart in there? Why don't we put in a quick selection tool? So, there's, and I guess I should have mentioned too, sales, like our sales team uses it a lot in the field. If they're just really quickly trying to select a product, they're talking to a customer and say, well, here, let me just run something really quickly. And again, don't have to go to the computer, don't have to call, just pull out the app. But I think the catalyst really was, ironically enough, because we're coming up on another huge regulatory year, the catalyst for that was actual regulations as well.
So it changed from a simple cross-reference tool into what we call now is just a refrigeration toolkit.
What about adopting AI for some of your marketing functions? Are you guys experimenting with that?
Experimenting. I mean, I will say,
as a tool.
Fair.
I think AI gets a bad rap with marketing because people just think it's, ChatGPT is just going to write everything for you. And I mean,
that's ridiculous.
That's the wrong. That's the wrong. Oh yeah, it is ridiculous because we'll play a game where he'll have ChatGPT write something and then he'll edit it and see if I can spot whether it was, actual AI or if he actually wrote it himself. Or we'll scroll through LinkedIn and point out all the companies who clearly just had ChatGPT write their posts. It's noticeable to someone in our industry that has done this for a while.
Yeah, and you're working on something where we're using AI to help transcribe.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's you're not using it to make the content for you, to produce the content, but there's technical aspect to AI, like what Tim was talking about, crawling documents, or using it to take the busy work out of transcribing videos so that you can turn it into something else. That kind of thing, I think, is a great way to use AI without you're using that information that's already out there in the public domain, so you're not disclosing any secrets or anything. You're just using it as a tool to help you get there quicker.
Yeah, work more efficiently. I think that's a great way to look at it. The marketing intern, not the marketing replacement, right?
Exactly.
And you wouldn't hand over your strategy to an intern. You wouldn't have them write your white paper, but you may have them do some of these lower level tasks. So,
absolutely,
I like that actually. The marketing intern, not a marketing headcount. Yeah.
Which, by the way, then when we did have an intern, she was able to do a lot, more advanced things for us last year because we had the AI doing the typical intern grunt work. So, makes internships across the board, I think, more valuable.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what else are you working on this year? What are some big initiatives in 2024 for Heatcraft?
I will say, I would say, you mentioned, video and, we talked about it with the influencer, but, video is something that we've done on our own as well. Different types of videos, from installation, videos for our equipment showing the contractors the exact right way to do it to, more educational short form videos that, talk about different regulations or different equipment to more fun videos that showcase the culture and what Heatcraft's all about. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, we had a request from sales that, a customer had really wanted to visit our factory down in South Georgia, but they couldn't, commit the time to going down there. So, we used a lot of the footage we had already shot for other videos, and we were able to quickly, within a week, turn around a video that gives a tour of the factory. So then our sales can bring the factory straight to their customers.
Yeah, and it was footage you already had. Wow.
Mostly. I don't even know if we cut any new footage for that.
No, we didn't film anything new. It was just going through other videos and footage that we captured.
Bunch of drone footage and just footage.
Yeah, reorganizing it and writing a new script and voiceover for it.
Yeah, and we videos took off for us during COVID when we couldn't directly interact, right? Just like everybody else. So we very quickly learned to pivot to video, whether in video as well as online training, webinars, that kind of thing. And I think at this point, probably our video library in the last 3 years probably grown. I think internally produced probably upwards of 50 plus videos. And we also do, what's cool with video too, is we can do a lot of cool cross-functional projects. So video ties us into other departments that we otherwise maybe wouldn't work with. So we've got to do some really cool recruiting, a recruiting video for HR, for example, a safety and inspection video for the safety team, a quality video for the quality team. So that's
probably
a
good number of the videos we do are just internal videos that really aren't for the public. It's for different functions within Heatcraft and helping communicate their message on an internal basis.
I remember one from Content Marketing World. Was it Family Ties? Is that the spoof
Family
of
Matters? Yeah,
it's Family Matters. Thank you, from the '80s, and Gen Xers like me appreciated that.
Yeah. And that's been a really cool, fun series to work on.
Yeah, so if you look at our social channels every month, we've been posting a little snippet where we interviewed we found that a lot of people in our factory are actually related.
Small town Georgia is like the factory. Those factories are the blood of that town,
Yeah, so each month we feature like a different family, just sitting and talking about what it means to work together and what it means to be at a company like Heatcraft where you feel like your family and you are family.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and you got to see the preview of it. As I recall, at Content Marketing World, and we now have the episodes launching now that you can check out when you get a chance and meet some of the folks. But
can we link to it in the show notes? Is it public?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we'll give you links.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it's really cool, and for me personally, I'm sure Pete as well. Just getting to, because over the past 5 years, I've spent a lot of time down there in our factories, right? Which is a different world for me, of course, especially when I was coming from B2C. But just getting to know the people for me was one of the key things. Getting to know them like at a personal level, getting to understand these families, and it's so cool when you see it. I think we had a grandfather, uncle, son, mother, son, daughter, like just literally groups of families. I think it was over 50. Employees anyway that were related one way or another.
What?
Father-son maintenance duos. Yeah. So when I say like Heatcraft means so much to that community, and for me to get to witness that and feel that firsthand has been pretty special.
Wow. Okay. How do you follow that up?
I was just gonna say.
Before we change subjects, I want to circle back to something you said of how marketing. It sounds like your I don't know, your mission or your focus is not just, awareness and lead gen, those traditional marketing things, but supporting the whole organization. And I think that that's an important thing. We talked about customer service, talked about recruiting and retention. And so just building that marketing function and those capabilities out across the organization and being such a valued resource, I think is really important and admirable. And I don't know if that takes an executive that's willing to invest across the company, or if it's a top-down mandate, or how that happens, because I think there are marketers that would love to be in that position, but don't know how to influence or grow enough to be that resource.
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting because when we first started with the videos, it was more of a marketing, us driving it and saying, okay, listen, we're going to go rogue here a little bit. We got to get creative. And then it was like, leadership recognizes this, holy cow, they're able to do this here. And then their wheels start turning. And that's when they come to you and say, hey, do you think you could do something for recruiting video, for example, which was super successful. But it also does take open-minded, creative, and progressive type leaders from a marketing standpoint. I mean, to also kind of foster that to the point where now all the way up to the top, they'll come to us, for video work specifically. So to see, for me anyway, to see that transformation of, hey, videos, like, oh, okay, we're a manufacturer, to, man, literally our video, as we mentioned to you in the pre-call, our video backlog now is crazy long, so it's been really cool. And it's a break from some of the day-to-day, as you mentioned, some of the traditional marketing stuff that we all have to do. It's important. But yeah.
I think what's really cool to see is that transformation of, early on it was marketing saying, hey, do you think we could do a video about this, to now people coming to marketing and saying, hey, can you guys do a video about this?
Nice.
And, it's nice when you're producing content, whether it's video or whatever else, that other departments, leadership, whoever it is, recognizes the quality of the work you're doing and then starts requesting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're proud of it for sure. I know I am.
Well, I know that even though it would be nice to just do fun projects that the company appreciates, you also need to show ROI, in those basic, marketing metrics to show that you're impacting revenue. And it sounded when we talked earlier that was also a big focus of yours this year. So tell me about how you're focusing on measurement this year.
So for measurement, so what we're doing this year, first of all, is we are, as we said, a content marketing world, we did focus a lot of people, maybe 25% of our posts were really product focused. We're shifting that a little bit. That percentage is definitely coming up. And that's namely due to sales showing that willingness to say, hey, we're out here now. We realize you guys are producing content. Can we loop it back to product? And so we do have a big focus this year on creating product related content. We're going to always keep our people focused, but product related content and then creating customer advocacy, like via social media, where rather than just showcasing, let's partner more this year. So for us, marketing attribution, especially with stuff like that, tough to tie to revenue. So another form of attribution, though, that's super valuable to our leadership is building up that advocacy with our customers, our top customers. So now you'll see a lot more co-marketed, co-branded promotions, a lot of co-marketing campaigns, socially, content-wise, and which is, again, it's we're not talking direct revenue, but when we can tie in directly to the customer, create these successful campaigns with them, it's a driver, right?
So when you have, I'm envisioning a pie chart, you said you're increasing the percentage of bandwidth you're giving to product content and product campaigns. So is there an overarching, some sort of a pie chart or way I don't know if it's a formula or what you use to prioritize between all these different groups that are demanding attention from marketing?
I think it's more we prioritize based off of, we have certain core initiatives that we put forward as a company each year. Used to be almost like a top 10 list. Now it's kind of focused a little bit more on 4 key areas that we really want to focus on. And so as a marketing team, we look at all the different projects that we maybe had on our calendar or things that we wanted to accomplish and try to tie it to one of those 4 key pillars, if you will. Just to kind of keep us focused that, it's not always directly tied to revenue, as but, if you can show that you're moving the needle a little bit as far as perception goes for one of those pillars, you're going to be successful. And, it's not just pushing product, but it's pushing product in a way that helps grow one of those areas and at the same time reflects our philosophy as a marketing team to, think outside the box and maybe pull some tactics from the consumer world and treat our contractor and distributor customers as real people and not just B2B, robots.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if I was creating a pie chart this year, it'd probably look something like, 50% people still very heavily culture and people focused, right? But probably 50% people, 10% just company information and news that we have to put out, and then maybe 40% sales enablement content.
Okay.
And by sales enablement, it's more than just product. And Tim kind of alluded to it earlier. If you recall, the app came about because there was a big shift from the Department of Energy and the products that had to meet certain requirements. Another one is coming from the Environmental Protection Agency starting in, end of this year with low global warming potential refrigerants. So we're having to redesign all of our products to, take these new refrigerants. I know it sounds fascinating, Wendy.
No, as a marketer, I get excited about things like that because it's something substantial to talk about that's adjacent to product, but it's bigger than that. Your persona, your target personas will care about it. I think it's marketing gold. So I'm like,
it's a headache.
Good campaign.
It's not like, technically we're releasing all new products because all of our products are being redesigned to use this new refrigerant, but it's still the same products. It's just they work differently. So one of the challenges that marketing is taken on is helping our engineering team and our sales team educate the customers, the contractors, on what are the differences. What are you going to see that's different when you get this new unit cooler?
Take the fear out of it.
Yeah, take the fear out of it. Make it simple for them. That's our goal, is to make it simple.
Make a very technical thing very simple. Like we've done with we have a regulatory page dedicated just to this, where we literally built an interactive map that they can hover over their state, say, oh, here's the changes that are coming and how I'm affected. Here's the timeline at the very top of, but it creates, like you kind of were alluding to, as a marketer, it's fun because it's something that for the contractor, this is terrifying to them, right? And for us, it's challenging as a company, right? Making changes. We just did this a few years ago for DOE. But for us, it's an opportunity, huge opportunity to gain share, because it's saying, okay, gain share of wallet here, in that let's get out front and be the thought leader, be the resource they go to. It's like, I don't know, this company X they're not giving us any guidance. They're not releasing any content. They're not holding trainings at our stores or whatever. We're trying to get really ahead of that and kind of establish ourselves as the one to say, hey, relax, we got it. We're going to make it simple for you. And here's how we can interact with you to make it simple.
Because at the end of the day, everybody has to change their products.
Yeah.
So how do we differentiate ourselves as a company? Well, we got to get out there ahead of it and educate and make it simple for you, and let everybody know that we're taking on the hard part so that it's easy for you, and make that transition real smooth.
Yeah. Excellent approach. Love this. Well, let's wrap up with just, if there's a marketer listening and they're kind of stuck in the same old, tactical stuff, and they want to try new things, and, what advice do you have for them, whether it's try these new tactics or have this new way of thinking about your approach? What would you say to that marketer?
I'll go first. I'd say that the number one thing that we do that as far as all the companies I've dealt with over the years, those B2B companies, especially the industrial ones, is that, we realize that we're consumers too, and we get marketed to, and we see different marketing, and we never let being a B2B company or an industrial manufacturer affect the way we think about how we want to go to market and what we want to do. So that's why I say we borrow things from B2C, because the audience is still the same audience. And so, you see something in your everyday life that speaks to you. Well, how can you take that same approach and just put that B2B spin on it? So I think that's kind of something that the whole team has embraced as a way of thinking.
Yeah. And I think for me, in addition to that, because I totally co-sign all of that, is thinking, just, it's not to be cliche, but just thinking outside of the box, right? Get out of your comfort zone, dare to do something different. Like for us, it was creating a mobile app. It's like, oh, it's never going to work. Well, here we are, 60,000 users later, awards and everything. Or influencer, no, that's not for manufacturing. And here we are again, showing great success with it. So I think these are things that, had we followed the norm, especially for our industry, and me coming from B2C, I'm on both sides of it, but in our industry, if we'd have followed the norm, these things wouldn't exist, right? So I think the biggest thing is thinking outside the box there. Even with your campaigns, do something weird. Don't be scared to, do a weird, quirky, fun campaign. Like our Interlink, we have service, refrigeration parts for these things, service parts, super boring topic. So we just said, okay, well, one of our things is the right part.
Right source, right parts, right now. So campaign, where it's don't let the wrong gear trip you up, saying like, don't go out there and use the wrong service parts. And it was a whole series where it was like a golfer using a baseball bat,
things like that,
or a guy hitting a baseball with a tennis racket. So it's it was a whole sports thing where it was like people using the wrong equipment, and it's like don't let that happen to you. Use Interlink service parts when you're on the job.
Yeah. So I'd say just be, and I'm speaking to marketing in general, but B2B marketing, push your leaders and dare to kind of get outside of that box that they consider normal, because man, the world is so much better outside of it.
Dare to get out that box. Get out of that box, excuse me. Oh, great advice. Thank you guys both. Where can people connect with you and learn more about Heatcrafts?
Our website, heatcraftrpd.com. And then, of course, all our socials, Heatcraft RPD on LinkedIn and Meta. And me personally, LinkedIn. You can find me, Tim Fletcher, on LinkedIn.
And I'm Pete Grasso on LinkedIn as well. And maybe you'll see us at Content Marketing World.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yes, I will see you there in San Diego in October. All right. Well, thank you both so much for being here today.
Thanks for the time.
Thanks for joining me today on Content Marketing Engineered. For show notes, including links to resources, visit truemarketing.com/podcast. While there, you can subscribe to our blog and our newsletter and order a copy of my book, Content Marketing Engineered. Also, I would love your reviews on this podcast. So please, when you get a chance, subscribe and leave me your review on your favorite podcast subscription platform. Thanks and have a great day.